And Wetlands and Watercourses Agency to order. Again, this meeting on Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. It's approximately 6:33 p.m. First thing I'd like to do is just do a roll call of everyone seated here today. We have regular members Frank Pagano, Ashley Joyner, and Jerry Fishbeck. We have our liaison from the Town Council, Marie Diamond, with us. And we have David Perkins, our Town Planner, Wetlands Administrator. I'm Steve Scavell, and I will be chairman for this evening's meeting. Next, we'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we can move on to item 3, which would be minutes from the meeting of August 24th, 2024. For those that were here and that can vote on any revisions or modifications.
Since I just got mine.
Do you want time to read it? Actually, no, it's okay. I'm not rushing you.
I think there's a lot left out of number 5.
Agreed. Should that have included, I believe there was members of the public present.
There were.
Speaking of that one, should that have included any of it?
Well, it did. Ron Walters down from the RWA refuted some of the things Mr. Pizzuto said. But we raised a whole bunch of other points than what's just here. And we mentioned doing some sort of site walk, and that's not listed either.
I thought it was passed anyway.
We didn't pass anything. He has to come in with an application.
He's right.
After
That was where we
the fact.
left
He has
it.
to do an application after the fact.
And I'm thinking, Ashley, maybe we were wait. You know what? I know what it was now.
So we're waiting.
We were waiting for the application, and then we were gonna schedule a site walk.
Okay.
I'm thinking that now. I knew
I
there
know,
was a
but
reason.
none of that is in the minutes. That's what I'm saying. So that's why it's.
Yeah. Don't you agree that was why we were waiting for the application?
Fine.
But that's right.
I'm sorry.
But none of it's in the minutes, nor is any of the issues that we raised with clearing the land without having an application in. Nothing says that in here.
Well, David, he is obviously he's got to come in with an application before he can do anything else. I assume he hasn't done anything
he
since.
said he was going to be back within 60 days.
Right. And we
Which
didn't
is
have
why
last
I
meeting.
think you sort of said, okay, it's almost imminent, let's just wait.
Right, right.
But now
But you haven't heard anything, is what we're saying. It's, yeah, you have not, since the last meeting, which I think was 2 months ago, he's not submitted, obviously, right, I
Correct.
assume? Or, because I thought maybe he didn't discuss it.
He has not.
He's not even,
He's not even close.
Okay, all right. So, but meanwhile, he's not doing any, the clearing's done, we know that. But he's not, to your knowledge, best of your knowledge, nothing else is happening right there.
He's not been doing any stumping and grubbing
Okay.
and into the ground and, no.
Because he shouldn't be doing, he shouldn't be doing anything until we get that application, and we can go out and visit then.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, no, yeah, no, it's not the RWA.
Because they kind of blend together.
Yes, because they're not separated.
I'm more than happy to talk to him to come back to our next meeting and give us an update, which would not be.
Well, I think,
Update is not necessary. We need the application. So until he comes back with that.
or let's put it this way, why don't you contact him and say, where are you with the application? So at least then we'll at least know, because he can't do anything until he sends it in, and we can't do a site walk until we see what is proposed. So if you want to contact him and see where he is with it, and let it, maybe ask him, when does he anticipate submitting an application?
Okay.
Is that all right, Dave? Then
That's fine.
At least we'll get some information, because right now we don't know anything, so. Now, as far as the minutes, if you want to make an addendum, we can always add that, we are pending, a site walk, pending for the applicant to submit his application. Did you want to mention that, or?
No, it's all right, it's fine.
Okay. I mean, we know we can't do, in theory, we know we can't do anything until he does that, so.
In theory.
So, it's up to you, whatever, we can accept the minutes as is, but noted that there were some omissions that hopefully will be addressed with the application.
It's fine.
Okay. So with that regard, would anyone like to make a motion to accept the minutes as discussed?
Going to the next item,
Oh,
number
sorry, okay.
5.
Yep.
The RWA, which we had passed, there's nothing really in here about any of the residents
That spoke up
that,
about
that
the issue.
had opinions about it and had questions about it. None of that is in here. Just says in the
There were some residents.
second to
within the
last
area.
paragraph, there were some residents within the area being discussed who had some comments to share.
But none of their actual objections are listed.
I remember one
Right.
specifically just wanted to know about, who mentioned the drainage issues and the flowing, and I remember.
And traffic, and there were some
yeah.
other things too.
And I remember
Well,
one of the RWO representatives saying that as part of the project was gonna, they were gonna discuss it with them, and it was gonna rectify it.
Right. And there was also, my brother, Bob Fishbach, asked about putting in, by their driveway, a fire hydrant. And they basically just said, oh, no, it can't be done. But I don't buy that.
I
I mean, the whole area would theoretically benefit by at least one fire hydrant somewhere in the area. There's nothing.
there's really no fire ponds or anything in that area. It's
No,
just-
a little further down, you could barely get anything out of Clear Lake because the cove by Olson Road is filled in already. But I think that not that it changes the minutes all that much, but I would like to see the town pursue a conversation with RWA about putting a hydrant in there. And they certainly could do it with, well, it can be done safely so that it can't be tampered with, but it would be a benefit to the people in the area with regards to fire safety.
Let's
insurance.
ask David, is that something that you could just at least broach with RWA about installing a hydrant in that area? I mean,
Well,
I don't know how that works, would probably be,
The water lines go out the other side of the property. The only water lines that are going down towards your property are for drainage.
It's not his.
I'm not talking about my property at all.
No, I know, but towards
But right
West Pond.
by their driveway, I mean, they have service valves to drain it.
Correct, but they can't use that same water line for a fire hydrant.
Why not? Put a-
They just can't. It's not,
Put a Y in it.
It's
huh?
not pressurized.
it's not pressurized. It's not a water
Pressurized
line.
by the whole purpose of the tanks there are to provide pressure for
The houses in the area.
all the
That's for
houses,
the-
not in the area, but throughout the
But
town.
isn't that for drinking water, not for drain water?
It's the same water, but the water lines go out the other side of the property.
Well, they were talking about some of the drainage going down to the culvert on West Road.
Drainage.
Drainage, not
Drainage.
pressurized water for public consumption.
It was my understanding that the pressure is due to the size of the tanks and gravity creating pressure, being at one of the higher points in the town. It's no pumps that are pressurizing it.
No, but it's the water that's coming out of the tank down that direction is not the appropriate water for fire hydrants or for public consumption.
We're not talking about public consumption.
It's
but
it's the same water as far as they're concerned.
when it comes to a fire, if it's your house, water is water, you don't care.
I don't know the technical, but when they got into the planning and zoning, they certainly addressed that issue half a dozen times.
Did they? Okay.
And they said they just can't do it. It's not the right water line.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not trying to defend their position, I'm just telling
No,
you
I
what they
would
said.
like to see the records from planning and zoning, you know, that this was actually discussed and the reasons why it can't be done.
Okay, I will send those to you.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
So any more concerns or issues or additions to the minutes, or, again, in lieu of what we discussed, anyone wants to take a stab at?
I move to accept the minutes as okay.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Abstain. Could you put down that I abstain?
Frank will abstain, okay. Okay, we'll move on next to new business item 5, which would be item A, application 2024-4, 49 Computer Road, site plan, construction of a 5-bay storage garage building to store athletic equipment and field maintenance equipment. Owner, Town of North Branford, applicant, North Branford Public Schools, John Florio, agent.
So is it the schools that are applying or the town?
The town.
The schools apply and the town owns the property.
But it says, oh, okay, applicant is public schools.
Okay, so the school is applying for town-owned property.
Property.
Okay.
Okay, so point of order that I need to ask you. I'm a part-time town employee, so I was gonna I hope I'm saying that right, recuse myself from this discussion, because I don't think it's appropriate for me to participate.
But it's not a town application.
Because
it's
I
a
read this
Board of
as a
Ed
town application, but it's a Board of Ed application?
Yeah,
Okay, then I guess I can.
Yeah, I think you're okay with
Okay.
that. That clarifies
All
it. Okay. So again, anyone here to speak on behalf, or do you have anything to offer? Or- Okay.
Hi guys,
Hello, if you just identify yourself for the record, sir, and
my
proceed.
name is John Florio. I'm the Facilities Director for North Branford Public Schools. Here to answer any questions that you have. We intend to build a storage building to replace, I don't know if you guys have been out on the football field track area for 30 years. We had 5 C-can storage trailers out there, and we found out that we were renting them, and our equipment was getting ruined by mold and rodents and stuff living under them. And those things are pretty unsightly to the neighbors, so we decided to get rid of the trailers, and we want to build a storage building pretty much in the same footprint the storage trailers have been for the past 30 years. The storage trailers took up a 30 by 60 space. We're applying for a 30 by 80 in the same area. We want to house our athletic equipment and our field maintenance equipment and stuff right out there, and something that looks nicer and be a little better to store our equipment in.
So just a quick question, it sounds totally reasonable. Are you gonna, do you have to do much excavation? Will it be on slab or be on sonotubes?
The Public Works Department is going to excavate. It is going to be a slab,
So it won't be
slab on
deep.
grade. Yep, and it's going to be a framed building with truss roof. We are incorporating the tech education students in to learn construction techniques for anybody who's interested in going into the trades, where I'm a big proponent of
Good.
students interested in get them in the trades, and
Hands-on.
it's going to be a hands-on project for the students.
Okay, great, sounds good.
Which way are you planning on excavating?
What's that?
Which way are you planning on excavating?
Public Works is going to be doing the digging with the,
It's not my question. My question is, are you coming closer towards the field? Are you planning on taking down trees?
no, we're not taking any trees down.
Okay.
But actually, we'll probably be coming more towards the practice field than the trailers were.
Okay.
We're coming away from the trees more.
Good, because that's where the wetlands
Yeah.
are. So if
No-
anything, you're moving a little
No
away
trees
from
are,
it.
yeah,
Okay,
no,
good.
we are not taking down any trees. We are not doing any clearing beyond where we already were.
John, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
When I look at this, and I've been out there because we walk the track, so I have an idea where that is. When I look at this picture here, it shows the shed is going to be directly behind this extension of the track. But when I look at the aerial photo here, it shows that the
Is off,
current
yeah.
are off. So are they gonna be put here or
Yep.
here?
That photo that you see of the plan,
This
when,
one?
when we first wanted to do this, I met with Victor, the ex-town engineer, and the building inspector out on that site. Victor said he was gonna put something together, and then we kinda lost track of this project for a while. When I went down to see Dave brought up some plans that were there, and Victor actually did that. He actually wrote in 30 by 60 storage area. It's kind of like he was saying that's that's the area we're putting it, but that's not the official, he just drew he drew a hands-on the plan and said, okay, the building was going here.
So as far as you know, it's gonna be put at this site here, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna
Where the
be-
originals are, where these are.
Public Works already cleared that area. Where underneath the trailers, where the animals were living, they
Oh, so
they
these have
flattened
been-
it all out. They got it all cleared. It's going exactly in the,
So these have been removed already?
yes.
Oh, okay.
The trailers have been removed.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, the trailers are gone. Didn't want to pay rental anymore, and they were just useless to have there.
It wasn't a good place to store
Yeah.
athletic equipment, I guess, right?
We'll present an as-built and everything, as we're done, with the building department as to where, exactly it is on the property.
And I don't know if you know the answer. Where is the wetlands here? Where are we, how far, what's the issue?
We're
with-
50 feet from the wetlands.
This is the wetlands.
Oh, it's in this drawing here, okay.
This is the wetland line.
This is the line? Oh, okay.
And like I had said today when we come in for the application, we're not against if you want us to relocate it further out. We have a pretty large area there alongside the practice field. We want to make sure that everything is good with you guys and Dave as far as where we're going to position the building.
The only thing I would say is since you're not moving it close to the wetlands,
No.
that's good. It looks like you're planning on the same side. I mean, if you could move it a few feet towards that practice area.
Exactly.
5-10 feet, anything would help. It would give you a little grass on the other side. It just gives you a little more buffer.
Yeah.
That's what I would recommend. I know you
That's-
can't plunk it, in the middle of the practice
That
field.
is,
but
that is
if you could move it
perfectly
farther-
fine with
Because
us.
that whole, the whole, where the trees meet the field, that's kind of, that whole area is on the other side of those
Yeah.
trees, pretty much wetland. So if you can get it more toward the grass, that's what I would
Like I said,
ask.
we definitely were open to position it where you recommend.
Plus it gets it out from underneath the trees.
And keeps it dry and
Yeah.
keeps the mold and mildew. You want full sun on it.
Exactly. We don't want the trees draping over the roof.
Then you're gonna have more moisture and you're gonna have
Exactly.
some issues. So that would be my recommendation.
So as far as what you're storing in there besides equipment and things, are you also storing like field maintenance equipment, fertilizers?
We will be
Gasoline
storing, most of it is for athletic equipment that's used out on the field, the track and field teams, the football teams. Most of the building will be that. One bay we are gonna keep for, Public Works keeps the field paint down at Public Works right now and comes in big containers. So rather than them transferring it to the field all the time, we're gonna give them an area to store that, and the machine, the logo, they put the form down to spray the numbers and, it gets kind of cumbersome for them to keep bringing them back and forth. So we'll give them a section. And then there's one section where they have golf carts. The athletic trainer uses a golf cart for the games, for students get hurt or anything like that. We want to park one of the golf carts in there. One of those was in the storage container. We want to put it in one of the bays inside to
Protect it from the elements.
protect it. Yeah, right now they have it parked outside. It's not good for it. We'd rather get it inside.
And imagine the paint and everything is fairly non-toxic, because obviously you're putting it on grass, so.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
killing
no,
you.
it's-
not a
it's-
pest-
yeah.
It's not like a herbicide,
Yeah.
'cause it's not.
And the
Public
kids are
Works has
falling
been,
on it, right?
Public Works has been dealing with that for years.
So, I don't have a problem. Personally, I don't have a problem
So
with that then.
would there be, you're gonna have lawn equipment and things that require gasoline, that's fine. However, will there be fertilizer and stuff for the fields kept there?
No, that's all taken care of the Public Works.
Okay.
They have storage area for their grass seed and their fertilizer and all that.
Good.
We won't be looking to put any of that in there.
So do
Okay,
we,
hang on a second. I hate to be a stick in the mud here, but we would never approve anyone else's application with this submission. This doesn't have specifics. It's a drawing where they circled something, and it has we have no idea where it's going to be located. Yes, we can say we want it 10 feet one way or the other. Yes, we have the drawing of the buildings, but you know that if anybody else came in here, this would not pass as it is.
All right. I personally would like to see the building put in line with the extension from the track. That will bring it a little bit further away from the trees. And even a little bit closer to the extension, in line and closer. You don't have a problem with that?
No, well, like I said, we have plenty of room over there. We have all kind of room over there.
You're right. There was the time when you could submit an application on a napkin.
I understand that, but that's not today.
No. Okay. But
so when you say.
I just don't want double standards because of the town versus somebody else coming in here, because then they're gonna use that and say, oh, well, you let the town get away with this. And you know we have a hard enough problem as it is with everybody else, and slapping on the wrist after things are done rather than beforehand.
so if
This
we,
is an example of doing something before too, because they've already removed that.
They've removed the containers and they've flattened out the land, but this has no specifics. There's
No, I
nothing
know, there's no
specific here.
dimensions.
so perhaps you could have the surveying team here, Cariccio,
Those are
David
probably
Cariccio.
I don't know.
Maybe they could
November 13th.
fix up this drawing to actually have an enlargement of that area and an exact location of the,
That's what it was.
Received
The
November
problem is,
Of the building?
you're agreeing
Yeah.
to move it, we're making suggestions.
Yeah.
But we just need it on the plan, like, and Ashley's point is that you know, saying it verbally
Yep.
agreeing is great, but you know what, legally, we just wanna, what we'd like to do is just get a new drawing with it.
We got it
moved
staked
over,
out
as
with a
Jerry said,
drawing.
move it Like
Yeah.
10, 15, whatever,
Sure.
away from it, have it the exact location, even though we know verbally what you're planning on
Yep.
doing, we appreciate your
Yeah, no
explanation.
problem. Yeah, we could do
And
that.
We can do that, and then come back with that with a precise location that we could, you know, enter our records, that we could approve it and say, okay, we know exactly where, we both agree, we all agree where it's gonna go. So if you
Sure.
could do that, and then, I mean, I don't think other than that, I don't think anyone here has
I
any
think we
problems.
should give them guidance though as to, when you say exact location, what we mean by that.
well, I thought I was pretty
Yeah, if you
specific.
want-
in
You're pretty
saying-
Yeah,
specific.
if
but
you
when
wanna
you
come
say-
over,
Yeah,
we
but
could-
Keep it in
John,
line.
I was saying,
It
if you
doesn't
look-
give us.
Keep it in
space
line with the
between
extension of the
That's why-
track.
Yeah, if you know the end of the track, it's the track, if you just.
John, if
go
you'll
straight.
come forward
Yeah,
so we can
we'll
point
show you.
out to you.
Yeah,
Yeah, keep it in line with the
So
track.
in actual applications, you actually have to show the distance from the wetlands, and you have to identify how far it is. This doesn't tell us anything.
Okay.
Okay, so in order for us to make a decision, we actually have to know how far away from wetlands it is, and how far from the track it's going to
Yep.
be, how far from the tree line, that type of thing.
Not a problem.
Okay.
And like I said, we don't have a problem with pulling it out and putting it in line with the
Yeah, so
track.
he's wanting it straight ahead
Sure.
rather than over here.
Yeah,
and
there's,
closer
there's,
to the track.
there's all kind of room over here.
And my thing is, I would say even a little more, you know, even if you could, but we just need to know
Exactly.
where, you know, like what I'm
Okay.
saying is, how
Yeah,
about your
that-
pen,
this-
Jerry?
Sure.
What I'm
That's
thinking is,
possible.
yeah,
Yeah.
equal to the track, like they're
Yep.
closer, yep, that actually be
This way
good,
we're
that
away
moves
from
it.
the trees
yeah.
more.
And it's not too close, yeah, obviously we want to cause a safety
Sure.
issue with the track, but we want it, you know, this way and, you know, and we need a map showing us exact
And
measurements.
how far away
Right.
from the
So in
wetlands
other
it
words, like,
actually is.
you could say like it's, you know, 10 feet from the end of the track, from the wetlands, it's 52
Not a
feet,
problem.
whatever. We just need to know the exact amount, and then we look at that, and then we can make a, you know, we can make
That's fine.
an informed decision.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why
That's
we're
why we're here,
I'm
guys.
glad you came in to discuss this,
No,
so you understand.
we're not putting a shovel in the ground until we get your blessing,
Good.
believe me.
Believe me, that, you're far ahead of the game then, because it's always worked that
And
way.
I honestly suggest bringing some of those kids that are gonna be working on this project to this process as well, so they can learn the process that
Very
goes
good
behind
idea.
it.
If they
They'll
want,
get the experience, right, Marie?
if you can get them off, their phones and the internet, we'll,
Yeah, that's
but
right.
but it's,
We've educated a few Boy Scouts.
Yes, we
Yeah.
have.
it's almost a Boy Scout project,
We
too
need
bad,
to
it would have
get-
been a great.
We need to get people back in the trades, and believe me,
Yeah.
I'm a very strong proponent of that.
And if they are interested in helping to build this, I
Yeah.
suggest they come in here
Yeah.
too.
Which
to
is a
see
great
what the
community
process
service
is.
project, because
You
they're
know what?
helping.
The kids they're all for it. I met with them
Yeah.
and told them, how we do how we do a lumber list and, how we engineer it and all that. And they want to get their
But
hands
we're looking for
dirty, so-
future volunteers for these agencies.
Yeah,
So,
it'd be great.
Even if
Yeah,
they came
yeah.
and they could, 5-10 minutes would all it would take, and they could at least get a
Yeah.
feel of coming into a meeting. But they don't have to, but it's something we encourage.
Sure.
So
We don't have a
leaving
problem
here,
with
you
that.
understand what we want to see then? and
We will get a hold of an
Perfect.
engineer, and we'll get a hold of a surveyor, we'll get it.
It shouldn't be a
straightened
big
out,
deal
we'll
to
get a
make
drawing.
that
Yeah.
modification and make those
Should not be
measurements.
long.
And
Yeah,
then,
the measurements are important.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically,
You got it.
if that is proportionately correct, basically, but this is shorter.
Yes,
This
it
doesn't-
is.
That's a
Yeah,
lot
sure.
shorter.
Right.
Yeah, this is just,
So
yeah.
this could actually come up and occupy.
Right.
Right, yeah, what we want to do is, there's the shot put cage right here,
Right,
so
you
we
don't
want to
wanna
make
interfere
sure.
with
right,
that.
that's what I'm
This side of
saying.
the
We don't want to
shop
have safe,
cage.
Just don't
Yeah.
put any windows on that side.
Or for the hammer throw.
Yeah, for the hammer throw, in case it goes the wrong way. Not a problem, like I said, that's why we're here, that's why I stopped to see Dave, appreciate all of Dave's helping us.
no,
Believe me.
we believe in this project. We just
Okay.
want to,
We'll have it to you for the next meeting.
Yeah, we just want
Perfect.
it to be
To be right,
legal,
right.
so we
Not a
can.
problem.
because we get approached by a lot of people about a lot of things, so we like to be consistent in our message. And we
We
certainly
are.
support this. It's not even an issue whether this is going to go through,
We're
but,
completely fine with that.
all right, perfect. We
I
appreciate
thank you
coming
all.
in, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Dave, I appreciate it.
So that being said, what we can do is maybe, we can make a motion to table this until we get the modified, site plan.
Yeah, I propose to table application 2024-4, 49 Caputo Road, site plan, construction of a 5-bay storage garage building to store athletic equipment and field maintenance equipment until an application comes in with specifics on distances and from the wetlands border and plans that show the actual size of the building in comparison to the fields.
Some locations.
Yep, and exact locations.
Perfect. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll wait for that new application. Very good. All right, next we're gonna move on to item 6, which is Wetland Enforcement Officer's Report. Again, we have 2 items, annual meeting and adoption of the 2025 meeting schedule.
So I think technically we've missed our annual meeting, which I think is in
September.
September. So should we put that off to our next meeting and I'll make it a real agenda item and we can do it?
Probably.
Okay, we have a meeting in December.
Yeah, I think one thing that we usually do with the annual meeting, though, we look at our fees and how they compare to the adjacent towns, so that we
Okay.
can have that part of it. I think it would be helpful.
I'll prepare that.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, we can do that next meeting.
Next
I don't-
meeting, yeah.
We do have a meeting, I know it's a little earlier in December, but if everyone's
Yeah,
available.
it's gonna be early in
Yeah,
December.
it's always a
because
week
of-
before, yeah, I know the holidays, so. All right, that sounds good, David. If you could get that information, we'll
Okay.
address all that then. Perfect.
We should have, Public Works wants to do some fill-in close to the wetlands over at their facility. So they will be before us next month
With an application.
with an application as well. Just as a heads up, I don't really have any details yet because I'm trying to get them to give me details.
Does
Sure.
this have anything to do with what they propose to build?
No,
No, okay.
no, they just want to fill an area. They have extra soil. They want to get it up higher out of the floodplain. And they theoretically are not in the wetlands. Theoretically, they're not in the floodplain, but
Well, we'll explain, if they come in, they can explain.
We'll
why
find
they
out.
want to do it and what they're, how much fill. We just obviously need all that stuff, that's right. That's-
right.
Yeah, if they can come next meeting, it's fine. We'll
When is our next meeting?
When is the next
18th
meeting?
Or the 11th?
The 18th.
Is it the 18th?
18th, yeah, I just knew it was a week earlier than it normally would be because of the holiday, so. Is everyone free for that, so far, as we can
That's
see?
Yeah,
our
I'm
normal
fine.
time, it's not a week earlier, so.
Is it our normal time, is it the, oh, okay.
I have it on my
Third.
calendar as the 18th, so I'm available.
Okay. Is that the third one? I'm trying to think, because it's maybe it's the way it fell, but,
You know,
okay.
if you
Yes,
get
the
a-
third- it's
if
the
you get a
third
Wednesday, like the
Right.
first or second.
Right, then you're right, gotcha. All right, very good. And, the 2025 schedule?
Do we have a copy of it?
Yep.
Where is it?
Need to see one?
Yeah, I don't have one.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, I think Julie got one right
Here you
there.
go.
Yeah.
Here, you got one?
Nope, I don't.
I've already entered it in my calendar, so you can have it. Here you go.
Okay, thanks. That wasn't included in my packet. June 13th, or sorry, the meeting date is June 25th, that should be okay. I always am wary about the one in June because it falls in graduation time.
Yeah, I don't see any conflicts.
Okay.
And we always have the option too, if we get closer and something comes up, we can always mutually change a meeting. It's not like it's cut in stone. We've done that in the past occasionally, so. So for everyone listening, one has any proposed revisions or anything, would someone like to just make a
Is
motion?
there
to
any
accept
other
it?
reports?
Oh,
Well, we got to approve the agenda.
Who's gonna-
for-
Yeah, we have
for
to approve the calendar.
Right.
So I make
That's
a
what I said.
But
motion.
if there are any other reports?
Yeah, no, I'd like to report on 487 Tutoket Road, our favorite subdivision, the Lungo Estates, or whatever its current name is, and the update as to what has been occurring at the New Big Way property rear under the stipulated agreement between Mr. DeLongo and the DEEP. He did receive a permit to start cleaning up the area this spring. These are temporary permits
Excuse me,
that
when
are
you say
given
this spring, you mean this past spring or this coming spring?
this past spring.
Okay.
So
These are temporary permits where he has X number of days within 365 days to complete the work. I think it's 280 days within a 365-day permit. If they give him a permanent permit, then he's basically a dump, a transfer operation.
yeah, as in permanent?
Well, if they give him, if it's not done as a temporary permit,
Gotcha.
then he can process anything he wants.
Who
Can we
determines
have a
whether
public
it's?
hearing on that at all, or is that?
No, this was a stipulated judgment between the DEEP
So
and Mr. DeLongo.
if anything, we'd have to appeal to the state then.
But
No,
so
no, no. Let him
DEP
finish.
determines
You-
whether it's temporary or permanent.
You
You're
want it
saying
to be,
that's
you
their
want it to
decision.
be temporary though.
Right, we want it to be temporary.
And it's what he
Right.
has is a temporary
Right.
permit, correct?
He was given a temporary
Right.
permit, yes.
Why don't we let him finish?
Go ahead.
And that temporary permit runs out next month.
Oh, okay, that was my next question. I didn't know when it would
And
end.
he's done.
Right, and so he's going through this process of trying to clean up the properties which have vast amounts of deposited materials that have to be removed. I mean, millions of cubic yards of material, not hundreds of thousands, but, and this summer, he has processed 2,000 cubic yards.
When you say process, you mean moved or?
No, he's processed. They've taken it, kept it on the site.
Okay.
They've sifted it.
Okay.
They've evaluated it. They've moved it into different piles of hard materials, soft materials, contaminated materials, and they've been testing it to
Oh,
see
okay.
what sort of materials are in there. And they have determined that some of the PCB levels are higher than they anticipated them to be. So at this point, the process has stopped for the season. There's about 2,000 cubic yards of earth on the site that have been covered with plastic to preserve it before they can truck it off the site.
So the ultimate goal is, obviously, they're gonna shut down for the winter, come back in the spring, they're gonna remove all that, I mean, and it
They'd
depends,
have to apply for another temporary permit.
right?
Yeah, they have to come back and apply for another permit. The DEEP is working to try to figure out if they can give them a more judicious permit to get things done more quickly.
I'm assuming they're using the culvert across the river?
Right, well, we're gonna get to that. That's the end of the story.
Okay.
All of this is occurring not within the wetlands, but they have been using the culvert to a certain extent, but they have figured out a way to get to Forest Road by the solar fields. So the heavy equipment that came in to do this work did come in off of Forest Road.
So that being said, technically, we could remove the culverts, because they don't need it
Not
anymore.
we, they.
Well, you know what I meant, I meant the term loosely.
Correct, and we
Yes.
were out on a site walk there last week, and the culvert is not any better than it was 2 years ago, and it really can't handle the
No,
size of
heavy
the
equipment,
equipment that they're bringing in to work on the property. And the DEEP doesn't really have control to say, you can only go one way or you can go the other way, but we're working on it. Because they prefer them to go out Forest Road, the big trucks would prefer to go out, everybody would prefer to go that way. So,
Which is good.
yeah, so we're getting there in terms of the culvert.
So when are they gonna remove it?
So let's go back to the subdivision. And part of the subdivision was that land where the culvert was to be dedicated open space and to be deeded to the North Branford Land Trust as open space. But the North Branford Land Trust doesn't want to take the property with the culverts in the river either. So
Ability.
So that open space land has been what I would call an orphan since I got here. And the neighbors and the bike riders and everybody else have just been zooming in and out of there and making my enforcement activities difficult.
And you're talking about motorized bikes, not bicycles.
ATVs and things. Right?
Correct. So then the mill pond behind the dam is full of water chestnuts.
Right.
And the land trust and the owner there and the Friends of the Farm River have been busy getting rid of the water chestnuts. The land trust and Friends of the Farm River applied for a grant from DEEP to get money to remove the water chestnut problem. We did not
They did.
get a grant. And one of the major reasons for not getting the grant was that there's no public access to the river
Because they haven't taken out the culvert yet.
because they haven't deeded the property to the
Yep.
land trust. So the land trust and Mr. DeLongo, over the last couple of weeks with my help and Farm River Friends, and have come into a license agreement,
Oh,
which should be signed in the next week or so, which authorizes the North Branford Land Trust to become the steward of the property. And they can have public access to the river through that license agreement. They can apply for this grant, which is due December 1st. And hopefully we'll get the money, we can clean up the water chestnuts and people can have access to the river. And we'll have an agent on that land monitoring it and using it.
But will this license agreement, does it stipulate that the culverts have to be removed?
No. It doesn't solve our underlying problem with deeding the land itself to the land trust in perpetuity. It just is a short-term license to,
So is there an expiration date on the license?
yeah, it's a 5-year license. You know, I've talked to the town attorney, and he's like, well, if they want to do this, they can do this. It doesn't have anything to do with the subdivision, which they're in violation of the subdivision.
It does, because it's still in
You know, what we
violation.
really need is the land to be deeded. And whether they want to deed it, whether DeLongo wants to deed it to himself as open space, and if the Planning and Zoning Commission accepts that as a deed in the short term, they can change their condition of the subdivision to at least allow it to be open space, deeded open space.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that.
So Mr. DeLongo was in the hospital for a number of weeks. He's been sort of out of the picture. We're back negotiating. We're not negotiating, we're trying to get a solution. But the short-term solution is this license agreement that at least gives somebody some, not ownership, but leadership in using the property.
Just a point of something you said that, and I hope Deep is on top of this. You said he has 1 million cubic yards of material he has to process. And he processed 2,000 cubic yards this year. So he's processing 2,000 cubic yards a year. That means it's gonna take him 500 years, if there's at that rate, to clean that property up. That's unacceptable. I'm assuming they're gonna get in there and do a lot better than 2,000 yards.
You know, there's a judge involved in the DEEP and a stipulated agreement, and it's in federal court, and from what I understand, the judge is not really happy with what's going on. But, you know, if the judge can't make it happen,
PCB is a bad
It's a
actor.
bad thing, and the people on
It's-
New Big's Way better get on top of it.
Yeah, because that's
Never
a,
mind the river.
that's a bad actor. They're like in a little love canal there, if anybody remembers that. That is totally unacceptable to the, I know you have nothing to do with it, but it's totally unacceptable that the state of Connecticut is allowing this man to linger and not get the contamination out of there. It's absolutely wrong. It should be.
It will be.
Should be a toxic unclean, super site to be cleaned up. You can get federal funds for that.
Right.
But it would be out of his hands, it would then fall upon us. And part of the subdivision or this division of property included removing the culvert. So what kind of action can we take with this? I mean, are we putting things on the deeds that say that it has to be removed? Liens of any kind? What's going on?
I'm not sure that the removal of the culvert was,
It was part of the agreement.
It was.
well, no, there was a separate application where he came and got permission from you to remove the culverts.
No, we
But I
told
don't
him he
belie-
had to remove the culvert.
It was a condition
It
of,
was a
it was a
condition
condition of the property
of
development.
the property being developed.
It was a special condition. I didn't go back and check it, but we're pretty sure that's,
It was a
That's the way we
condition
recall it.
of the development.
That's how I recall it, but you should probably check sometimes.
just
I
a
think I
question.
did
Do we
check it. It's not-
have a bond on that? I think he can do still, right? Or is he? There was one, I know.
We have an insurance bond,
Insurance bond, okay.
which are,
Not that.
I mean, you know, the whole thing is murky and a mess, and, you know, I inherited it, and it should have
Oh, no,
been.
we know,
we
we've
know.
done a lot of work.
We
on
know.
it.
Should have been-
It's not you.
We're frustrated, not with you, just that this is going on this long, that's. the-
Well, you know, I think that this is, we're moving in the right direction.
It's an improvement, let's put it this way.
And he
It's definitely
has
an improvement.
actively been removing stuff, and I think we can get the culverts pulled out in the next 18 months.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's
I
more
hope
than
so.
that. They can't keep working at 2,000 cubic yards a year. with PCB, if PCB's a major contaminant,
Yeah, I
they
understand,
gotta
Frank,
get.
but that's not our
I
thing.
understand that, but I'm hoping our state rep and our state senators are listening to this and get their act together and get something done. Because this is not right for the citizens that live there. They're exposed to this. And the town, I think, has an obligation to inform the
At
residents
least inform
of Marjorie Drive and of Ubig's Way that they have a chemical contaminated site in their backyard.
They're
And if-
aware, they're
and
aware
if
of
they have
it.
well water, I hope they're getting it tested.
Well, we know that when they did the subdivision, they brought in water because they
Right.
would not allow wells.
Right.
Yeah. Calvin was the kid.
Anyway, sorry.
Um, It was,
Well, anyway, we appreciate all the work you're doing on it. Hopefully, like you said, you're
I just wanted to give you an update because we have been actively out there. There are other pieces of property that are contaminated over there
I forgot.
as well that have problems. There is a foreclosure operation by the state because he hasn't been paying taxes, by the town.
this is DeLongo has been paying, oh, so he's.
Right, why would he pay taxes on property that he can't develop? Even better, if he doesn't pay taxes and the town takes it over, then it's not his problem
Now,
anymore.
here's a really dumb question, okay, because first of all, I'd like to know why he went and bought that property contaminated, and how did the contamination get there? Was Phil brought in from another site, or, was
it was
there
probably the farm bringing it across.
probably the farm? Okay, I'm just curious, I didn't know if.
Well, there's a
The
history
previous
of,
owner was losing it for a variety of reasons, and he stepped in and bought it like on a fireside sale.
But, so
More or
he was
less.
aware. not
without
aware of
knowing
the
what he was getting
contamination.
into.
Yeah, okay.
Honestly,
I'm just
don't know.
curious, it just seems like it's not a good business move if you knew, but obviously things
And
happen like that.
the funds that he receives from the solar field go into escrow as part of the funds used for the cleanup of those sites.
So he's kind of banking some money, knowing that he's gonna have to process.
Well, that money it goes into escrow and then gets dispersed by the attorney, so he never even
Pay
sees
fees
it.
and costs, because they're gonna have to pay to remove that contaminated
But that's,
soil.
to your point, Frank, that's about as much as he's gonna spend is whatever he gets off the solar
I
field.
agree. I don't disagree with anything you're saying. I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the judge is the judge is in charge.
Well, like you said, hopefully, that we'll get some resolution. We appreciate all the work you're doing on it.
Yes.
and it
You've
looks
made a
like
lot of,
we're moving in
you've
the
made
right
a lot of
direction.
progress.
Yeah, we're making progress compared to, years going by with nothing happening, so
So I have some copies of this license agreement.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
that would be great.
So do we still need to approve the calendar, correct?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
but are there any other reports? See, I knew we cut him off, and I knew he had more to tell us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's still WTF.
Yep.
I remember making an issue how offended.
Oh, yes, we
Yeah,
were all were.
Offended by the name. I think
Mhm.
Frank made that.
The attorney said, oh, it's not what you think.
Oh,
Of course
yes, it is.
Of course it is. Remember, he said it represents some stupid thing, he said, but whatever, anyway.
That's another thing I have fault with the state of Connecticut about. They should not allow that, anybody to incorporate a business with that.
Yeah.
I hope he knows there's a special filing now that all LLCs have to do. And if not done by the end of the year, there's a huge fine, federal.
Oh, what's that? What's that?
New rule.
Oh.
Anyone
I wouldn't know.
with S corp and LLCs and stuff have to file a new report.
So I make a motion to approve the calendar as presented
Second.
For 2025?
for 2025, yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Who
All right,
seconded it?
passes.
I did.
Unless we have anything else to discuss, we can make a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, meeting adjourned.
You wanted to second that?
Thank you, Ashley, you made my night.